I opened the bedroom door and my world stopped. I never imagined I'd see them together. This is the truth I can never forget. The day my world shattered. My name is Mark Turner, I'm 27, and I never thought I'd write a story like this about my life. If someone had told me a year ago that the people I loved the most, my fiancé, my father, even the woman who raised me, could betray me in ways I couldn't imagine, I'd have laughed. And yet here I am. I met Emily Harris in college. Classic story. Freshman dorms, late-night study sessions, arguing over assignments, laughing until our stomachs hurt. Somewhere between group projects and campus walks, we became inseparable. By the time graduation came around, we both had jobs in the same city, and she moved in with me. 3 years later, I proposed. She cried. I trembled. It felt like the world had aligned perfectly. Looking back, I see the warning signs. I just didn't want to see them. My father, Robert, always seemed to take a special interest in Emily. At first, I thought it was harmless, a father welcoming his future daughter-in-law into the family. He'd call her frequently, sometimes when I was around, always with some excuse. We're talking about Mom's birthday, or I just wanted to check in about the family party. Once, Emily's phone rang while she was in the shower. I picked it up. It was my dad. He sounded shocked and almost upset that I answered, and within a minute, the call was over. At the time, I shrugged it off. Now I feel like an idiot for not seeing what was in front of me. The discovery. Thursday was Emily's day off. She made breakfast for us, kissed me goodbye, and wished me a good day at work. I realized mid-drive that I had forgotten some paperwork for an important 3 p.m. meeting. I shrugged, planning to swing by the apartment during lunch to grab it. When I arrived home, I noticed a car in the lot that looked like my father's. My stomach churned, but I told myself it was nothing. I went inside, and then I heard it, faint moans. From our bedroom. My mind froze. Clothes scattered in a trail led me there, and the sounds were unmistakable. I felt a mix of rage, disbelief, and nausea. Time seemed to slow. I drew my phone and began recording. I scooped the clothes from the floor, tossing them into the hallway. My hands were shaking, my heart pounding like a drum. Then I flipped on the bedroom light. There they were. My father, my fiancé, both caught red-handed. Robert scrambled to cover himself with a towel, panic written all over his face. He lunged for my phone, and I reacted instinctively. I hit him square on the jaw. His head snapped back against the doorframe, and he slumped to the floor. I spoke through my shaking hands, my voice low and dangerous. Get out of my life. You're dead to me. I left, still in shock, driving straight to work as if nothing had happened. My boss noticed my disheveled appearance and the blood on my collar. She didn't know the half of it. Aftermath. The next day, I tried reaching my mother, Linda, repeatedly. No answer. I drove to her house. When she opened the door, she erupted in anger, calling me names, accusing me of being abusive. My father had spun the story to make it look like I attacked him over a minor argument with Emily. I showed her the video. Her face went pale. For the first time, I saw her realize the truth. But there was nothing to say. I left without a word. Back home, I began clearing out everything Emily had touched in the apartment. Boxes stacked near the door. I notified her parents that the engagement was off. My parents and Emily still tried to contact me. I ignored them. I moved into a small cabin outside the city. I started therapy, got tested, and began the slow, painful process of trying to exist in a world that had turned upside down overnight. Every day, the pain hits in waves. Numbness, anger, loss. I take solace in small things, the quiet of the cabin, a whiskey on the back porch, maybe picking up hunting again. I know one day it'll heal, but that day isn't today. For now, I just survive. The aftershock. The day after, I felt like I was moving through a fog. Everything around me, my apartment, my phone, my thoughts, was coated in a layer of disbelief and rage. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I barely recognized myself. I needed to talk to someone, but I had no one left. Not really. My friends could never understand what it's like to be betrayed by the two people you trusted most in the world. So I decided to face my mother, Linda. I had to tell her, even if it meant reliving every nightmare over again. I drove to her house, gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles whitened. My stomach twisted so badly I had to pull over twice to throw up. I rehearsed my words a dozen times. but nothing felt adequate. How do you tell someone their husband has been sleeping with your fiancée? How do you put into words the devastation of that betrayal? When I arrived, I steeled myself and stepped out of the car. She opened the door, furious. "Mark, how dare you show up here after hitting your father?" she shouted. Her voice cracked, but there was no warmth, only anger. "I didn't hit him over a fight with Emily," I said, my voice shaking but steady. "He's been cheating on me." "With her." She froze. For a brief, terrifying second, the world held its breath. Then she crossed her arms and narrowed her eyes. "You're lying," she spat. "Emily isn't ready to forgive you. And you're coming here making accusations? You've lost your mind." I pulled out my phone and pressed play on the video. The room went silent. I didn't speak. I let the images do the talking. My father scrambling, Emily's face of guilt, the trail of clothes, the betrayal made tangible. Linda's hands trembled as she watched. Tears welled in her eyes, but there was no turning back. The truth was in front of her, undeniable. I can't even," she whispered. I didn't stay to watch her process. I left. I had no intention of staying in that house, in that life, any longer. Clearing out the past. When I returned to my apartment, I went into methodical mode. Boxes of Emily's belongings lined the hallway. Anything that reminded me of her, photos, clothes, gifts, were packed up. My connection to my family, my parents, anyone tied to this betrayal, was severed. I called Emily's parents to explain that the engagement was off. I told them she had been cheating, and they needed to retrieve her things before the landlord started showing the apartment. They were shocked, but I didn't care about their reaction. For the first time in years, I felt the faintest flicker of control over my life. Isolation and therapy. I moved into a small, refurbished cabin on the outskirts of the city. The commute to work became longer, but I didn't care. I needed distance. I started therapy. My first session was awkward, stumbling over words, emotions spilling when I tried to articulate what happened. But it felt good, in a strange way, to finally say it aloud to someone trained to listen without judgment. The second session went deeper. My therapist asked about my family. I told her everything. How my parents seemed perfect, how I grew up feeling safe, and how all of that was destroyed overnight. She asked why I cut my mother out. I told her what she said to me that day, calling me abusive, defending a man who had betrayed me. I told her I didn't believe she could ever come back from that. Every day, waves of grief hit me. Some mornings I could barely get out of bed. Some nights, I found myself staring into the dark, replaying the scene over and over. The moans, the betrayal, the trail of clothes, the look on Emily's face when I turned on the light. I worked, went to therapy, and tried to breathe. A small whiskey on the back deck became my ritual. I watched the sunrise, felt the wind in my hair, and reminded myself I was still alive. That counted for something. Reflection. Losing Emily, Robert, and the family I thought I knew was a pain I never anticipated. It's not just heartbreak, it's the collapse of trust, love, and safety all at once. The world I lived in for 27 years was gone in a single day. But I survived, rebuilding the pieces. It's been about a month since everything fell apart. A month since the day I walked into my own bedroom and saw the two people I trusted most destroying my life. And even now I'm still not okay. Not even close. Some days, the pain hits suddenly, like a punch to the chest. Other days, it's numbness, emptiness, like I'm watching someone else live my life. Only a couple of my friends know what really happened, but even they don't understand what it's like to lose your fiancé, your father, and your family in one single moment. Starting over. After a week of barely sleeping or eating, I realized something. If I didn't take control, this situation would destroy me completely. So I started fixing what I could fix. I went to my doctor. He took one look at me and immediately referred me to a therapist. He said, "Your body is fine, but your mind needs time." And he was right. Therapy was awkward at first. I didn't know how to explain something so painful. But session by session, I slowly started untangling the mess inside my head. Grief, anger, betrayal, all of it. The cabin. I couldn't stay in the apartment anymore. Every corner reminded me of them. So I found a small cabin outside the city. Quiet, secluded, a place where no one could just show up at my door. The first night there felt strange. Too quiet. But for the first time in weeks, I breathed. just sat on the porch, listening to the wind, and letting myself exist without noise, without people, without chaos. Cutting ties. Emily's parents came for her things. I didn't talk to them. The boxes were at the door. That was enough. My father kept texting, sending long paragraphs trying to justify himself. Emily sent shorter messages. Cold. Manipulative. Let's talk. You don't understand. This wasn't what you think. I blocked them. My mother's messages hurt the most. One day she defended him. The next, she begged. The next, she blamed me. So I blocked her too. I had to. Some friends reached out, but I ignored most of them. I didn't have the strength to talk. I barely had the strength to get out of bed. The only person I actually responded to was my therapist. Reflection and healing. Nights were the hardest. Sometimes I'd wake up, heart pounding, replaying the moment in my mind. The moans. The shock when I turned the light on. My father scrambling. Emily covering herself. The rage. The punch. The look on their faces. It's all still there. In the mornings, I forced myself into routines. Shower. Coffee. Work. Therapy. Back to the cabin. Whiskey on the porch. Watching the sun disappear behind the trees. One evening, I saw a deer at the edge of the forest. It reminded me of hunting, something I loved years ago. Maybe you'll go back to it. Something simple. Something that belongs to me. The unexpected visit. 3 weeks and something happened that I wasn't prepared for. I was outside, splitting firewood, when I heard a car on the gravel road. No one knew where I lived. No one. A door shut. Footsteps. A soft knock. My heart dropped. I opened the door. And it was my mother. She looked exhausted. Like she hadn't slept in days. "Mark," she whispered, please talk to me." I stepped outside, blocking the doorway. "What do you want?" She swallowed hard. I watched the video again. And I realized I was wrong. Her voice cracked. "I shouldn't have defended him. I shouldn't have doubted you." Tears filled her eyes. "I'm sorry." And for the first time since all this started, I saw it. Real regret. Real pain. I didn't forgive her. I couldn't. But I nodded. Not yes. Not no. Just acknowledgement. She left. And I stood there, staring at the empty road long after her car disappeared. When I walked back into the cabin, I broke down. Harder than I had on the day everything happened. A note to myself. I may never forgive Emily. Or my father. Maybe even my mother. But hey, race what I do know. I survived. I walked away. And am rebuilding. Slowly, painfully, but intentionally. One day, they'll smile again. One day, they'll trust again. One day, this wound will scar over instead of bleeding. But today, I survive. And after everything they did to me, surviving is enough. It's been 3 months. 3 months since I cut off my parents. 3 months since I blocked Emily. 3 months since I tried to rebuild the pieces of my life in a quiet cabin far from everything that destroyed me. And I really thought the worst was finally behind me. I was wrong. The unexpected knock. It happened on a rainy Tuesday evening. I had just finished a late therapy session and was sitting on my porch, listening to raindrops hit the railing, when I heard it. A knock on my front door. Soft. Hesitant. Familiar. My stomach sank. I opened the door, and there she was. Emily. She looked different. Thinner. Exhausted. Makeup running from the rain. But her eyes, they were the same eyes that lied to me. She whispered, "Please, can we talk?" I should have slammed the door. But closure is a strange thing. So I stepped aside. The confession. She didn't sit. She didn't even look around the cabin. She just stood there, hands shaking. And she told me everything. How my father contacted her first. How he manipulated her into believing I didn't love her enough. How their connection started after he started buying her gifts, paying for things. How she felt trapped, guilty, disgusted. She said she tried to end it. He threatened to tell me everything, spin it as her mistake, and destroy our marriage before it even began. She said she hated herself for what she did. She said she never loved him. She said she still loved me. And then she asked the question I knew was coming. Can you ever forgive me? I looked at her. At the woman I almost married. At the woman who destroyed my life. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just said, no. And that's okay. For the first time in months, I felt calm. The second knock. She left in tears. And just as I closed the door, it happened again. Another knock. This one wasn't soft. I opened the door slowly and nearly froze. My mother stood there, alone, crying. She apologized. Not the fake apology she gave before. A real one, broken, trembling, filled with shame. She said she finally left my father. Said she saw the messages between him and Emily. Said she realized she had been blindly defending a man who never deserved it. Then she said something that hit me harder than anything. I'm sorry I wasn't the mother you needed. I didn't hug her, but I didn't push her away either. I just told her the truth. I need time, but I don't hate you. She nodded, wiped her tears, and whispered, "He'll wait." A quiet ending and a new beginning. After they left, I sat back on the porch. The rain had stopped. The night was quiet. And for the first time, I felt something I hadn't felt since everything happened. Peace. Not forgiveness. Not joy. Not closure wrapped in a pretty bow. Just peace. I survived the worst version of my life. And now, finally, I could start building the best version. Not for Emily. Not for my parents. For me.